Wow. Thank you, John, for that very kind introduction. I really do appreciate it. Before I get into my talk, I just want to congratulate the faculty and the public school teachers for your awards, and certainly the graduate students and the undergraduate students who participate in the LEAD graduate program. I had the pleasure of hiring two of the winners, Dan and Ruben, and have worked very closely over the years with Ann and Mimi on a number of projects. So it feels very good this evening to watch good friends and colleagues receive these awards. So what I want to do this evening is talk a little bit about my own background in teaching, but also to move into what we're doing at this university, especially in the area of science and math, engineering, technology education, STEM education. I started my teaching career almost 43 years ago in a small rural high school in Ohio. And I vividly remember that first year of teaching. It was American literature to 11th graders. And I couldn't wait to teach a poetry unit on Robert Frost. And I prepared this great lesson plan on The Road Not Taken. Just as I was beginning the lesson, I heard a siren. And every male in the class, along with a few of the females, got up and started to leave. And I said, what was going on? What's going on? And they looked at me and said, we're part of the rural fire department. We can leave school anytime we hear that siren. And I have no idea then or now who was or was not a member of that fire department. But I heard many, many sirens in that first year of teaching. I think they were initiating the siren in some cases. On another occasion, when I announced an upcoming test on Hawthorne, the student said, Mr. DiStefano, that's a holiday for us. And I countered. I thought I had them. There is no upcoming national or state holiday during that period of time. And they replied in unison, it's not a state or national holiday, it's the first day of deer hunting. So I learned quickly that these and other rural priorities took precedent over Emerson and Thoreau and Hawthorne and Frost. And as a student of the 60s, I can well remember when President Kennedy encouraged us to ask ourselves what we could do for our country. Some of us joined the military, some joined the Peace Corps, and some, like you and me, became teachers. Even back then, the theme of the best should teach resonated with me. And if I may, I'll tell you one more quick story about two professors that I had in college. As a 20-year-old sophomore at Ohio State University, I took an American literature course on Fitzgerald and Hemingway. My professor was Matthew Broccoli, who was a Fitzgerald scholar. He was by far one of the best teachers I ever had. He was knowledgeable, enthusiastic, and humorous. I can still remember our discussions about Fitzgerald and Hemingway, their writing styles, their competition with each other or lack of competition, and of course, their love of the good life during the Jazz Age. When I returned to Ohio State to study for my PhD, Professor Broccoli had left to take an endowed chair at the University of South Carolina, where he stayed until his death in 2008 from brain cancer. And over the years, I followed his stellar career and marveled at his scholarship. He authored more than 50 books on Fitzgerald and other literary figures. His 1981 biography of Fitzgerald, Some Sort of Epic Grandeur, The Life of F. Scott Fitzgerald, is considered the standard Fitzgerald biography. So I left Ohio State with a bachelor's degree in English education and began teaching these 11th graders in high school. And about that time, I started a master's degree at West Virginia University in curriculum and instruction. Twice a week, I made the 80-mile round trip to West Virginia for the class. The professor that I had in curriculum and instruction, I cannot remember his name, nor anything we discussed. I do remember that he looked a lot like the original McGarrett on a Hawaii Five-0. Jack Lord, tall with slick black hair. The classes were boring, no enthusiasm, no humor. At the end of each class, I was waiting for him to say, "Book him, Dano." Well, I thought about saying it to him to enliven the classroom. But at that time, I was probably too young and too naive to connect the dots about the relationship between scholarship and teaching. But it later dawned on me that the outstanding scholar was my outstanding teacher and made the classroom come alive with his firsthand knowledge of the jazz age. The other person was a fine person who shared what others had done, but could not light up the classroom or engage the students. And that vivid contrast between the stimulating teachings of Professor Bercoli and the uninspiring ways of the West Virginia University professor sparked in me a desire to teach, to give students the joy of learning that Professor Bercoli gave me. And our teachers in the audience tonight, I'm sure, have their own collection of stories, both humorous and sobering, and our future teachers with us tonight will soon have their own classroom anecdotes to share. Individuals of my era certainly remember the excitement of wide-eyed school children gathering around a small, grainy black and white television to watch the first American take flight in space on May 5th, 1961, 50 years ago. We were amazed by the miracle of science as Alan Shepard traveled 5,100 miles per hour, squeezed into a tiny capsule that parachuted back to Earth. It lasted only 15 minutes, but it left a memory for a lifetime on young, impressionable minds. Just last month, the final voyage of the space shuttle left us to reflect on the legacy of U.S. manned spaceflight. One of its great legacies is education. When the Russians launched Sputnik 1 nearly 54 years ago, beating the United States to space, it created an educational revolution in America. We thought we were the most technologically advanced country in the world in October 1957, when the Soviet Union set the first satellite into Earth's orbit, and 4 years later, the first human into space. It was a wake-up call that sparked a revolution in America, calling for young people to study math and science. It motivated elementary schools and secondary schools and universities alike to focus their efforts on the development of human capital that would be necessary to catch up in the space race. The result was a huge influx in the number of young people pursuing careers in science and engineering. It started with President Eisenhower when he said, "We must invest in education because we are falling behind." President Kennedy took it one step further with his national goals for the space program. And all these goals required teachers. Today, we're at that point in history again. The United States' competitive edge has significantly declined, and President Obama is challenging our nation's universities to recruit 10,000 science and math teachers by 2015. This call is not merely for math and science teachers. Our national levels of literacy also lag behind those of many other nations in the world. Our students are abandoning reading as an educational and personal pursuit. Our programs in the arts and media are being cut at a time when students have a greater interest in these subjects than ever before. So the best should teach is just not a CU legacy. It should be a national priority. The best should teach is not simply something we want to do. It's something we have to do. Our nation, our society, and our security depend upon it. Lindley and Marguerite Stiles were at once historians and visionaries when they established the Best Should Teach initiative here at CU-Boulder. As Laura said, Dr. Stiles was a 3-degree CU-Boulder alumnus who served as Dean of Education at the Universities of Virginia, Wisconsin, Northwestern, before establishing the Best Should Teach initiative here at his alma mater. The Best Should Teach is managed, as John said, very, very well by the graduate teaching program under the direction of Dr. Laura Border, in coordination with the School of Education, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the Graduate School. And so it's my pleasure to speak today at this invitation of the Graduate School because graduate programs focus on the next generation of researchers and scholars. And the CU Graduate Education Program conducts research in critical areas such as evaluation, foundation, policy, bilingual and multicultural education, and of course, curriculum and instruction. Lindley brought his best should teach ideals to CU-Boulder because our philosophy of pairing content-rich majors with teacher licensure matched his own. We had, and we still have, 3 major ingredients to successfully turn his best should teach ideals into reality. The first is the world-class faculty in the content areas of math, sciences, the social sciences, humanities, English. They include multiple Nobel laureates, National Academy members, many who teach freshman and non-major courses. Secondly, we have top-flight teacher preparation by virtue of our College of Arts and Sciences, our School of Education, and our graduate school. And third, and equally important, we have the best students. And that wasn't always the picture. It wasn't always that rosy. In the mid-1980s, we almost lost teacher education at CU-Boulder as the Colorado Commission on Higher Education was examining duplication of programs. They were going to move us to Greeley or Denver. The CCHE argued that CU-Boulder, as a major comprehensive research university, did not need to fulfill the role of teacher education in the state of Colorado. Our argument was just the opposite. If any institution should offer teacher education, it should be the state's flagship university because you want the best students to be teachers. And at a highly selective university, we have the best students attending the University of Colorado Boulder. Prior to this issue, the School of Education had decided not to offer an undergraduate degree in education, but rather require a degree in the content area such as English or math or physics or social sciences or humanities prior to licensure. So it was back in the early 80s when a decision was made by this campus, by this School of Education, not to have an undergraduate degree in education. We wanted the strongest students in the content areas, in math and science, in English and history, to become teachers. And we were leaders, not only in the state, but in the country. And it's the model we offer today and the model that Lynn Stiles first advanced as one of the 20th century's leading teacher educators. So teacher education at CU has not only persisted over the years, but it has thrived. 2 years ago at this event, we celebrated 100 years of teacher licensure at the University of Colorado. Today, I also take pride that we are known as a national leader in faculty research in both teacher education and policy issues. This especially pleases me because as dean, I advocated for the School of Education to have a strong research component that we could interact with the rest of the campus. And I think as you saw tonight, that's exactly what is happening. And today, the Best Should Teach philosophy of teaching the best students to teach is the basis of our nationally leading programs in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, or STEM education. The Best Should Teach initiative is only 15 years old, and yet it has already left a national legacy and is answering our nation's call to action. At CU, we are recruiting our top-tier students in math, physics, and engineering to teach and address a national crisis, the shortage of math and science teachers. Last year, CU-Boulder was one of 4 public universities recognized by President Obama at the White House for answering the nation's call through our STEM program. So we had the University of Colorado, the University of Kansas, the University of Maryland, and the University of Kentucky represented in the White House with the president. And unfortunately, the president wanted to talk about basketball. And he could talk to the chancellors and presidents from Kansas, always in the top, Maryland, certainly Kentucky. When it came to Colorado, but I told him, I said, Mr. President, wait for 1 more year, we'll be back. And we were, we came back. And at that time, I pledged to the president that CU-Boulder would at least double the number of science and mathematics teachers who graduate over the next 5 years. Through a multidisciplinary collaboration among the School of Education, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the College of Engineering and Applied Science, CU-Boulder has doubled the number of STEM majors completing secondary math and science teacher certification compared to just 5 years ago. And I want to congratulate the deans and the faculty for that. And the number of physics and chemistry majors enrolling in teacher certification has more than tripled in the past 3 years. And Noah and Valerie, thank you for that. And today our STEM programs are emulated nationwide based on the foundation established by the Best Should Teach initiative. We've integrated more than 45 STEM programs on campus through iSTEM, or Integrating STEM. Our STEM community includes more than 50 faculty from 14 disciplinary departments, including, as I mentioned, Nobel laureates and National Academy members. Allow me to briefly highlight just 3 of these programs that illustrate both the interdisciplinary nature and the breadth of our STEM programs. 2 programs under the umbrella of the Graduate STEM Fellows in K-12 Education, GK-12, funded by the National Science Foundation and coordinated by Jessica Fields. Jessica is a professional research assistant in the Department of Computer Science and an elementary school teacher with more than 15 years' experience. These 2 programs enrich the learning and teaching experience for both graduate students and K-12 students. Engaging computer science in traditional education, this program brings computing into courses that students are already taking because computing has become a vital component in so many fields. For example, biology students learn about the role of computing in sequencing genetic materials. The second project is Project Extremes. It's a collaboration among a trio of CU departments and institutes and the Boulder Valley School District, placing STEM graduate students into Boulder's more socioeconomically diverse schools to explore extreme local habitats. And one of these habitats is the Sombrero Marsh, one of the few saltwater marshes in Colorado. And another is CU's Mountain Research Station, site of world-class alpine tundra research. Again, this program supports both the enrichment of science learning and opportunities and the professional development of young scientists as teachers. The next program I want to highlight is the Colorado Learning Assistant Program, integrating STEM co-directors, Valerie Otero and Noah Finkelstein, a physics professor, Valerie is a professor in our School of Education, have turned our Colorado Learning Assistant Program into a national model of how to recruit and prepare future K-12 math and science teachers while improving introductory STEM courses. Undergraduates who have mastered coursework in, say, physics or biochemistry work interactively with their peers in learning difficult concepts by guiding small teams of students to discover answers for themselves. The STEM undergraduate mentors discover the skills and joy of teaching while improving the education of their fellow students. Our assessments have shown it to be extremely beneficial for both the learning assistants and their fellow students. Students in the Colorado Learning Assistant Program are the agents of their own education and of educational transformation. I like the testimony of Ryan O'Block, who signed up to be a learning assistant in an introductory physics course, when he said, and I quote, "A light bulb clicked on for me. This is what I want to do." Or Cassandra Lee, who said, "The LA program confirmed my love for teaching. I'm not going back to pre-med ever. I've never been so sure about anything in my entire life." So since the program began in 2003, more than 440 students have participated as learning assistants, improving introductory courses in 10 departments and helping more than 8,000 students annually. The LA program has been replicated in at least a dozen universities nationwide. And finally, I would like to highlight the CU Teach program. The CU Teach program is an innovative collaboration between the College of Arts and Sciences and the School of Education. It allows our students to earn a degree in a math or science major, while simultaneously earning a secondary math or science Colorado teaching license. The program is in 2 steps. The first step invites science and math students to explore teaching as a career by providing firsthand experiences, co-teaching science and math lessons in local elementary classrooms. The second phase is co-teaching in middle school math or science classes, and about 170 students are enrolled in CU Teach. Our STEM education programs are supported by grants totaling more than $30 million from national organizations, including the National Science Foundation. And it is notable that faculty directors of these programs serve in national roles, such as chairing the National Academy's Board on Science Education. These are groundbreaking programs, nationally recognized and widely replicated. Our STEM education research has been published in leading journals, and we provide STEM education consulting. We continue to recruit more and better students to address the needs for effective K-20 STEM educators. I mention this not to be boastful, although I'm very proud of our success, but to point out that our interdisciplinary STEM teaching programs are meeting a national call to action. It is truly the legacy of the Best Should Teach initiative, and it is everything that founding father, Lynn Stiles, could have imagined. Thank you.
It's a tradition to give the speaker at the Best Should Teach lecture a gold Flame of Enlightenment pin, funded by Professor Lindley Stiles.
Thank you.
Thank you.